Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. I am excited to talk to you a little bit about the work that I do. This concept of Blossom, this theme, is especially appropriate to my particular market. I design early education centers. So children in particular really need that attention and protection and space to play. And that was an excerpt from the longer description of this theme of Blossom that just seemed to really tie in nicely with what I'm going to share with you today. All right, so some of this is a little squirrely because I had animations built in that are not showing up. So we'll work with it. Top left is my husband, Ryan. So he is in the back here. We have been married for 10 years now. We have two little boys, and their pictures were included in this as well, but you'll just have to imagine them. They're 4 and 6. They're blonde hair, blue eye, and they are a lot of work. And they're also a lot of fun, but a big portion of this is I was designing childcare centers when I joined RDG in 2017, but I wasn't a parent yet, and I hadn't really gotten into what it meant to experience childcare from any other vantage point other than a designer. And then we had our first child, and childcare can be terrifying. I'm trying to find some place that offers that quality of care that you really want, but that you can afford. And affordable childcare is kind of an oxymoron right now. It's really under-supported as far as by the government or the states, at least in Nebraska. Other states are starting to move forward. But we were lucky enough that we found when Rudy was 2 and had been in several different childcares that were not great, we got into the Montessori Co-op school. And I don't know if any of you are familiar with this school. It's up in Benson at 52nd and Pratt. It's a really wonderful organization. They're incredibly accepting and really involved in the community. And my husband and I found our community through our childcare. And so this gave me this eye-opening experience of how important childcare facilities can be to the community. And then I joined the board. I'm the president of the board this year. We host different events. The bottom left picture is actually our landscape architect, Ann Makian, who was going to co-present with me. However, she is presenting at a conference in North Dakota today, so she was unable to be here. But that's at our Blast from the Past trivia night that we hosted as a fundraiser for the school. So there's a lot of different events that occur at the school that are really in support of things that I believe in and my husband believes in. And we have this group of friends and our own little village that we found via childcare. So I had some animations missing, but all of us start as these little seeds, these little saplings that have the potential to grow and blossom into anything. And as we look through these individuals when they were little, I'm very grateful that these little early learners blossomed into early learning designers. So this is my team here at RDG. So bottom left, we have Brian Curl. He's an interior architect. That's me. Up at the top, we have Mariah Corey on the left and Cassie Thompson on the right. They are interior designers that sit in our Des Moines office, but collaborate on our early learning projects. Far right is Ed Buglewitz. He's our fearless market leader. He has been doing early learning centers for 25, 26, a lot of years. He got into this when his children were young also, and has been a really great mentor for all of us. And then Ann Makian, who you saw on the last slide, is our landscape architect who does all of our playgrounds. All of the projects I'm going to show you are not an individual effort. My creativity is part of a team. And without these individuals, none of this would come to fruition. I'm so fortunate and so privileged to get to work with these very talented designers who are incredibly dedicated to the work we do. Alex DeHare said that when a flower doesn't bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows, not the flower. And this is something that we hear quoted often at early learning conferences when we're talking about the different ways that children learn, especially when they're very small, when they're still developing their brain, really offering those opportunities to change the environment. And some of that may be the pedagogy that's being applied, but some of it can actually be that physical environment. And so as we're looking into the design of these facilities, we try to consider all of the different user groups that are really going to be impacted by this building, using this building day in and day out. And so, of course, the children, the students that are coming here and spending the bulk of their waking hours, but also the staff. And so this is our educators. This is also our kitchen staff and our janitors, our directors, those coaches that are maybe coming in for limited times during the week. And then our parents, our families, our guardians, those individuals who are dropping their most cherished little person off all day to be in the care of others and trusting that it is going to be a great experience for everyone. All of those groups come together and influence the community in different ways. And our early learning team at RDG firmly believes that early education is community development. We are really, we talked about, we are all ancestors. We are really creating the generations of tomorrow that are going to take us into a world where we want to live. As a side note, I'm mostly going to have a lot of pictures, and I'm going to talk to you about how we work with clients and design space for children. But one of the first things we typically do when we meet a new client group is we encourage them to play. And we do that in a variety of ways. Sometimes it's with building blocks. Sometimes it's with creating art and playing to create. So I feel like as adults, we get into this experience where everything is a hustle. Everything has to have a monetary goal, or we're not creating for creation's sake. Whereas children will create something beautiful and then they're done with it. They don't want to look at it again. They just enjoyed making it. And so I would encourage all of you, if you like to fidget, if I get really boring, make something beautiful, and at least it will still look like you're very engaged. So it's really fun to weave those through and see what you can create, and you're welcome to take them with you. But if you'd like to leave them, we have a nice collection from other events where we've used this same play opportunity. Children experience space much differently than adults do, primarily because most spaces they encounter are designed for adult humans, not for small humans. When we are looking to design spaces specifically for children, rather than accommodating children, we try to accommodate adults and design for children. So making sure that there is a sense of ownership of those spaces and a recognition that this is a space where they belong. Some of that is really practical. So for instance, if you have ever toilet trained a child, every time they have to go is an emergency. In those early days, they don't know they need to go until they're almost going. So an adjacency of restrooming within our classrooms and transparency, in this instance, it's actually a half-height wall. Other facilities have glazing at that wall, so you have some auditory separation. But that adjacency allows that teacher, that staff member, to help with that toileting when it needs to happen for that one child. And the rest of the class can stay in their class, not disrupted. They're not taking a group of 12 kids down the hall because one kid's maybe really been hydrating well. But you have that opportunity to continue to provide that attention, protection, and space to play all within your classroom. So this is really beneficial for the staff, but also for the children who aren't suddenly anxious because if they say they have to go to the bathroom, it disrupts everyone else that is playing and learning. Flexibility within our classrooms is another big one that we try to provide. This just allows teachers to really tailor their rooms depending on the group of students they have. So you might have a group of students where 6 out of 12 of them really need their own kind of cozy nook space. Providing the furniture elements and the space to create those different areas really can help those children blossom and learn in this early stages of education. And then items very specifically for children. So the picture on the right is one of my very favorites just because he looks so happy. So providing sinks and soap dispensers and paper towel dispensers and mirrors so that they can do exactly what the grown-ups are doing without having to climb up on a stool, which is easy to fall off of, without having to reach over a sink that is way too big. And then on the left, that window is just a child's window. That window doesn't offer adults anything except views of ankles, like a mirror in the shoe section. But it is there so that when these children sit down, they have that same experience of sitting on a chair with a window next to them. And it is very clearly for them. This gives them that sense of ownership, that sense of belonging, that sense of place that they may not be getting outside of their school. Research has shown us that a variety of experiences throughout the day is really important. And often when you are relegated to the classroom for the entire day, that variety, even with a flexible classroom, can be really hard to come by. So we've taken to carving out spaces in our corridors to create opportunities for activity, whether this is gross motor play, as in this instance, or a little miniature library area where kids can sit and read. Those really offer that opportunity for educators to get their kids out, give everybody a little break from whatever education they are trying to accomplish, and just let them play. Children learn the bulk of everything that they know at this age. They learn through play. So providing additional opportunities is really beneficial. Another really pivotal item in design in general is views and access to nature. So this is something that is research has shown over and over and over again is really pivotal to health and well-being, both physical and mental, for all ages. But small children especially are affected by being away from the outdoors. And while it's not something that we can always accommodate depending on weather, it is something that we can accommodate those views. This is another instance where just pulling that windowsill down so that these babies, these little kids who are 19, 20 inches long, can still see over the sill. They're not over there like trying to peer up. I know you've seen them at other locations, but offering that view out so they're not just looking up to the sky, but they can see the trees and the grass. Also providing spaces. This is a multi-purpose room that is a gross motor space specifically used in inclement weather. So whether that's too cold to play outside, too hot to play outside, raining, snowing. This particular image was taken on a bright sunny day. But if you can imagine, it's covered in snow and it's very cold. The children still have that experience of their surrounding world. They still know what's going on outside. And that can be really key in maintaining that routine and rhythm of moving through the day. As I mentioned, Ann Makian is an incredibly talented landscape architect who does our playgrounds for these facilities. And we've seen more and more facilities moving toward nature play. So stump steppers, boulders, wooden elements for climbing, which is great. We also have seen more incorporation of grass, and then for safety surfacing. So this area here is actually an artificial turf that offers that padding that protects from falls when they're interacting with the play equipment, the hill slides, things of that nature, but then allows that sort of that biophilic experience of all of the grass that's surrounding. So they're still interacting with nature. We have a lot of outdoor environments I had to condense, but we do dramatic play stages. We do outdoor classrooms. Shade structures are typically incorporated in some portions. We'll do traditional play elements too, so you can see in that middle left. But a lot of what we try to incorporate is those natural elements that give children that experience of just interacting with nature. Natural light is that and another really pivotal element outside of just looking and interacting with nature. Knowing what time it is during the day, just from seeing a window, can be really helpful in just maintaining your own biological rhythms. I don't know if any of you have ever worked in a windowless room. I had a craft room in our basement, and then we had kids and it became the guest room, but it's in our basement and there was no natural light, and it's uninspiring. So just providing that light, not just for children's sake, but for the staff that are there day in and day out, having that opportunity to have natural light is really key. Providing spaces where that light can create patterns that can be useful. So again, designing the mullion patterns so that you create something where kids can like go to the square, or the bright light is lava, stay on the, my kids are really into the floor is lava right now. It's always on my mind. And then we can make sure we can incorporate natural light in a way that meets our security concerns. So for this project, this is up in Massachusetts. They wanted little narrow windows for security's sake. So they wanted less openings from the outside. It's very difficult to see in through these narrow windows. These are set back in a brick. But from the inside, you get views out and you get that deep penetration of that natural light. So you get a lot of light through these narrow windows, but they still provide that secure front that they wanted on the face of the building. Again, windows up high, you're not going to see much out of these, but you get that light coming in, and you're going to see that move throughout the day and throughout the seasons. So there's that awareness that we exist in this universe that is hurling around the sun, and that it's going to change your experience. Another area where we carved the section out of the middle of the building to bring natural light in, and then providing natural light at the end of corridors. So those are not dark, dim things that you're walking toward, sort of like when you walk toward our elevator over there. And then particularly in staff lounges and workrooms, really making sure that we are providing natural light and views out for that respite from the chaos of the classrooms. It is chaotic. I don't know how many of you have children in childcare or have interacted with childcare, but you get 17 3- and 4-year-olds in one room. I don't know if there's enough natural light in the world for me to feel ready to go back into that classroom. They're unsung heroes, early educators. Finally, community engagement. So this was a really nice tie-in to that theme of Blossom and that idea of really connecting with our communities. Again, as I said, we believe that early education is community development, and we're seeing this trend with child development centers across the country. This is in Kearney as a part of University of Nebraska Kearney. So this early education center provides care for staff and students, children, as well as community members, and then also provides educator training. So for students enrolled in the early education program at UNK, they are able to get hands-on training, experience, and observation in this facility. And parent resource rooms are another thing that we are seeing more and more popularity within these, where you're offering that two-generation education. So you're not only educating children, but you are also educating their parents. So some of this looks like teaching parents how to parent, but some of it looks like providing computer and internet access and printers where they may not have those amenities available to them in their regular lives. This is a facility in Albion, Nebraska that serves Boone County. It's a little rural community. It's only 6 classrooms, but they did a multi-purpose space. It's more than twice the size we would typically recommend for that, so that they can use that as a community space. So wedding receptions, graduation parties. There's a gymnastics teacher who leases a space 2 nights a week to teach gymnastics. So it really brings the community in and helps to educate the public who may not be as aware of how important early education is as to what it can really give back to the community. And finally, this is a project in Mesa County, Colorado, which is adjacent to Grand Junction, in a neighborhood called Clifton. So the county really wanted to invest in this very underserved community. RDG did the master plan. This campus includes a public library that was designed by a local firm, and then this early education center and community center. So that's 12 early education classrooms. It also contains their workforce development for early educators. So they do their fingerprinting, their background checks, coaching for early educators in the area. And they also host trainings with this large meeting room for all of those early educators in Mesa County. So they're really raising the bar on what the quality education is that's available. And then it also has the community center aspect. So it has the high school sized gym. It has a multi-purpose room. They have a field across where they do like little mini football practices, which we saw when we were out recently, and volleyball practice in the gym or basketball practice. And there's also, so 6 weeks is the earliest age a child would attend the school. But then when I was out for photography, there's a group of elderly people that are Meals on Wheels recipients, and they 3 days a week have their meals delivered to the multi-purpose room at the community center so they can be together and eat their lunches together. And so all of these were people still living on their own, but whose spouses has passed. And so they were really isolated. So providing this hub of community, and then they could look out on the playground and see all the kids playing. And there's this really nice connection and a really beautiful camaraderie that built up. So I'll leave you with this. We shall walk together on this path of life, for all things are part of the universe and are connected with each other to form one whole unity. And that is Dr. Maria Montessori, who really developed a lot of educational methods for children, recognizing that they are real people, just small. So that's something that I try to take forward as I move through these projects. They are such a joy to work on, and I am so grateful every day that I get to work with my wonderful team and that I get to be impactful in an early education standpoint where I don't have to teach them, because that is, I wouldn't be good at that part, but spaces that I really love to do. So thank you all.